Two words summarize today's readings, and they are exclusion and inclusion. In the first reading, the old man Abraham has lost his wife. He mourns his wife, buries her, and yet he has a duty to see to it that his son, who has come of age, Isaac, has a wife. Abraham is too old to go in search for a wife, and he summons his servant. And as the servant make a promise that he will find a wife for Isaac. And yet, Isaac, who is the child of promise, identifies with the land of Canaan. And therefore there is no need for him to leave the land of promise, the land he will inherit. And Abraham says the servant must go to his own people, the heir of the Chaldeans, and find a wife for his children. In doing this, Abraham is acting in accordance with tradition. You do not marry outside of your own people. You preserve the purity of your genealogy. And hence, Rebekah has to come from Abraham's people. In all he does, though he is following tradition, the tradition that is dominant and the tradition that characterizes Abraham's people is that of exclusion. We relate with those of our own. We dare not interact with strangers. If the first reading is about exclusion, the gospel is about Jesus' vision of inclusion. He is a Jew, and Jewish customs are built on preserving the purity of the Jewish people. There are prohibitions that try and help the children of Israel to stay away from that which can contaminate them. You do not eat with sinners, tax collectors, and prostitutes. And Jesus, raised as a Jew, must have known all this. And yet he chooses to act differently because the vision that guides him is the vision of the Father. The vision that embraces everyone. And it's for his actions that Jesus will be labeled a friend of tax collectors and sinners, a glutton who eats with them. When Jesus calls Matthew the tax collector, he not only calls him into his company, but he goes and dines with Matthew. And you can imagine how many tax collectors came to celebrate with Matthew. How many of ill repute were in that house. And Jesus seems to be at home. And the onlookers are murmuring, how dare he does this? Does he not understand who we are? In this, Jesus acts differently from the religious authorities of his time. And it's this vision of Jesus of inclusivity that builds the kingdom. It's this vision that reveals to us the face of the Father, who is all loving, all caring, and all merciful. My dear brothers and sisters in Christ, the invitation to us as Christians is that we be guided by the vision of Jesus. It's not an easy vision, it's a challenging one. And it is one that builds one kingdom.